Hi, it's Janibek Iskendir, Technical Lead at Systems Consult. In this video, we'll talk about automation and control career path. And on the picture on org chart, you see there are plenty of job roles, starting from engineering, management, and higher management levels, and at end user side, EPC side, or vendor side. Also, it is important to understand and segregate between different automation lifecycle stages and the corresponding departments in each of the sites. For instance, there can be research and development departments in end user and vendor side. There are projects in end user, EPC, and vendor sides. There are production and services on end user and the vendor side. Also, it can be an EPC side as well, when they take service agreements and service contracts. And on the vendor side, there is sales department or sales stage. So let's revise, starting from end user side, from the bottom to the top for the production or operations stage or department. So on the bottom, there are technician and shift engineers who are responsible for operations support. They usually replace faulty modules, support operators with forces, bypasses, and coordinates between operations team and the discipline team. I mean with SCADA, PLC, or other engineers. Process control engineer is responsible for operations and production optimization and uses systems like APC or other, as well as coordinates with systems engineers like SCADA, PLC, and other engineers with operations and production optimization implementation. Engineers here can be a discipline engineer for dedicated discipline like SCADA, PLC, SIS, ECS, cyber, and IT. And each discipline may have from 1 to 10 engineers depending on the size of the site and depending on size of automation installed base. And each team usually has team leads. On a higher level, management level, on the production and operations side, automation supervisor and automation superintendent, who are responsible for people safety operations and maintenance management. Also, they hold budget. On a higher level, our operations manager and production manager. Usually those people comes from with process engineering background and not automation background, but sometimes it happens. Project side of end user works with projects of EPC companies as well as projects of vendor companies, and the project side at end user operator is mostly responsible for coordinating of the project and for accepting of the design documents of the systems and so on. So on the bottom, again, technician who supports the projects with hardware installations, cable pulling, and so on. Projects coordinator who is responsible for coordination of works with schedules and so on. Design engineer who provides standards, company standards to EPC companies and devises and the coordinates for the project. Also sometimes issue drawings for explaining of some part of the project for vendors and EPCs. Lead engineer. And on the management level, project engineer and project manager. Why I have included project engineer on the management level? Because usually at operator or end user side, those people are those people have management roles, and they are responsible for budget, and they are responsible for coordinating of the projects. But on the vendor side, project engineer stays in engineering level because mostly he does engineering works. On a higher management, there is program manager who manages multiple projects or long-term programs, and the projects director who has broader responsibility within organization. R&D side, research and development. From the bottom, there are solutions and evaluation engineer or architect. So those guys gives green light for new solutions coming from vendor or EPC companies and approves them, makes some in-house testing and so on. And development engineers. Sometimes companies, end user companies like Shell, Chevron, Eni and so on, they make their own in-house solutions development. On a higher level, there is R&D director. So let's revise EPC design side. EPC companies usually responsible for engineering and procurement and construction, and design companies responsible for engineering. And from the bottom at the engineering level, there are CAD engineers who are responsible for developing of CAD drawings and documents, and the instrument and automation design engineers who are responsible for development of systems design and automation design. These are mostly documents like system architecture, I/O lists, and so on. Project engineer provides supports for projects, different types of activities and roles. And on a higher management, same project manager and the program manager, head of department and general director. These are on roles on the EPC side. So meaning that you can have career paths like that, from CAD engineer to the top. But you can have career paths not only in the one organization, but moving from EPC to vendors and to end user. And we'll talk more about that later on. So now let's revise vendor side. And on the vendor side, front level is sales. So in sales organization, there is proposal specialist who generates proposals based on the input provided, generates bill of materials and pricing and so on. Sales engineer who makes technical sales and supports sales technically. Account manager who has account or territory responsibility. Sales manager who manages account managers and has country responsibility, sometimes region responsibility, consisting of few countries. Sales director, who is responsible for sales in the region or several countries, and sales vice president, who is responsible for sales in the pole. Project department on the vendor side is responsible for greenfield and brownfield projects development and implementation. But projects department usually mostly does greenfield projects rather than brownfield projects, and the services department does brownfield projects. But it depends on the project. So project engineer on the project side of vendor supports for projects, and projects manager responsible for schedule management, cost management, for people management, safety management, and so on. Program manager who is responsible for multiple projects or long-term programs. Projects director has a regional responsibility, and the project's vice president has pole responsibility. And on the vendor side, as a department, services, on the bottom, services engineer, where field services are provided, and the service engineer supports vendor products on the customer side, usually on a higher management level. Services supervisor, who is responsible for site supervision. Services manager, who is responsible for service business. Service director, who has broader responsibility in territory for the service business, and the services vice president, who is a pole responsibility. And of course, there is research and development on the vendor side as well, and they can be segregated to technical assistance engineer, technical assistance support center, and development center. So those are different roles. One is supporting for the requests for system bugs, failures, or some complex issues. This is under technical assistance engineer. And development engineer is responsible for development of new products and so on. Depending where you work, either as end user operator or EPC design or vendor, even the name of role or position the same, like project engineer, but responsibilities will be different and the type of work will be different. So in my view, it is better first to work on an EPC company or in a vendor company, then to go to operator, because in end user operator companies, usually those guys, like a design engineer, lead engineer, they mostly make coordination jobs. They mostly do not do jobs by hand by themselves, and because they are clients and they have contractors on site or contractors in their projects where they can delegate some tasks and work. So this is general overview of career path you can see that you can start from the engineering, then go to a management level, or you can stay in the engineering level if you would like, if you like engineering. And you can also go to a higher management level. And also to mention few things, that for example, those people, automation supervisor and automation superintendent, are always on site, so making that you cannot work remotely on those positions, for example. Or sales director or sales vice president, for example, or let's say services director. Those roles are responsible for several countries, and those they usually in the like big offices, like an office in possibly in Dubai or in London and so on, or in USA. So you have to consider relocation to be on those roles. So it is also good for planning, like starting possibly from the for the EPC, working for the EPC or vendor, then moving to the end user or moving to a higher management level, and but you should consider also relocation and so on. Hope this video is helpful for you. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, Automation Portal, and we'll make more videos. Thank you.